Hi, Paula.
Hi, Els.
Nice to
How are
see
you?
you. So today about long
Hmm.
silences.
Yeah.
Do you want to start? Shall I start? Whatever you want.
Hmm. Well, I can start because I'm sure you'll probably add way more, just with your experience. Yeah. Um, and for me, I'm still getting used to that silence, because I find it a little uncomfortable sometimes, depending on the situation. Um, And so for me, it's about like I'm using myself here as my example. So it's about noticing my comfort level with the silence and acknowledging and listening for my own inner guidance and you know as to what to do next. Um, and yet I'm learning that silence can be such a good thing, and it gives time for the speaker who's just shared a chance to land in their body and to really feel it, to feel what they've just said and acknowledge it themselves. And it also gives time for the listeners to soak up what's just been said and really connect to the person. That's what I'm finding from my experience of um, using silence within a group. And so, as a facilitator, though, I do get a little bit anxious in the silence. And I often feel that I need to speak, that I need to jump in and fill that void. I'm learning to be comfortable with the silence. Yeah, and I guess that's part of, it's kind of could be a rescuing thing. I don't know. But when the silence is too long and starting to get uncomfortable, how do you break the silence, Els? What do you do to acknowledge the speaker and move on?
Yeah. Well, you can also acknowledge a speaker to stay in silence, and that's what you said is about speaking is better than being still, and that's not quite uh, um, true because in speaking there's a process and in silence there's a process, and you can trust that absolutely. So I think the most important thing for a facilitator is um, to be able to endure long silences, just to be okay with it, to not that you have to handle it, but just to be in peace with a long silence, and not that you have to make the silence longer than natural, than longer than is necessary is a bit strange word, but longer than needed. It's wonderful when you can keep hold the silence just you because a silence can be an awkward silence, but a silence can be a very filled silence of energy and of beauty and of process and of well, there's so much going on in this silence,
Yeah.
and when you can accept it or endure it as a facilitator, that's beautiful because the one who is silent in this group meeting exactly knows when to go on, because a person will go on when he or she is ready to go on, when the process has been done, and when there comes more clarity in what wants to be said next.
Mm.
So when it's in these silences, there are still processes going on. And often when the silence is allowed to be a silence, is allowed to be there, uh, you can see or hear later on that there deepening takes place, not only in the one who is speaking, but maybe for everyone, because everyone has a moment to retreat in themselves.
Mm.
And of course, there's always a moment to end the silence, and it can be just the time, the clock. We have to end. Then we end the silence because the group will finish now, or we have a specific time that somebody has 2 minutes to speak, and then we will finish the silence, of course, also. But as a facilitator, when you can be open to what's going on in this silence, you will know when you can go on or when it's the moment to go on.
Mm.
And when you're not sure, you always can ask, is that what you wanted to say? Do you want to add something? You can ask the participant.
Mm.
But I would say practice in endure the silence because there's nothing to do for you. When somebody doesn't speak, it's just still, there's nothing to do. You don't have to think, oh, what to do next. It's nothing to do. Just sit back and relax. Yeah. And then you will know when to go on
Yeah.
and how to go on.
Yes. Yeah. Intuitively, do you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not from here, but from you will feel when the tension goes out of the air, and you will feel when there comes a relaxation, and you can see it. The other participants will act also, and then you will know, oh, now we can go on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Els, what say they've shared something that's really, quite traumatic? Does it matter? I'm just curious. Does it matter the depth of their share?
If you say
Something
dramatic, the word dramatic,
traumatic.
traumatic.
Yeah.
And well, when you think something is traumatic, you have a judgment.
Ah, yeah.
And when you don't have a judgment, it's just it's just what somebody shared with you. And
Yes.
some people share about an illness, for example, and other people share about the hair and the hairdresser who did not the hair right. And other people will share about something else. So as a facilitator, don't make something traumatic. Don't add that word on a story. I would say don't do it because somebody says, "Oh, it's hard for me," and you say, "Yes, yes, yes, it's traumatic." Why would you do that? Don't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say don't do it
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
it's a judgment, and it
Yes.
when I as a facilitator um, uh, say it's traumatic, well, the speaker maybe thinks it's traumatic, and when the
Mm.
speaker doesn't, maybe he has to think, oh, is it traumatic? Am I a
Yeah.
victim, or is it hard, or can I survive? I don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always
Yeah.
hear the same.
Yes.
Always hear the same. It's just somebody who is talking. And of
Yes. Yeah.
course, I feel compassion. Of course, I feel
Mm.
compassion. And of course, I know it was harsh. And of course, I know, my God, yeah,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
but
Mm.
don't well,
Internalize it. You keep it in. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yes, you keep it in. You do your process on the inside
Yes.
and
Yeah.
not in that direction.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
You
Yeah.
had a poem, I think, with
I
two
do. Yeah. Just to end on would be nice.
yes,
A couple of verses from this
two
poem
verses. Yes.
by Gunilla Norris. It's called Inviting Silence. Within each of us, there is a silence as vast as a universe. We are afraid of it and we long for it. Silence brings us back to basics, to our senses, to ourselves. It locates us. Without that return, we can go so far away from our true natures that we end up, quite literally, beside ourselves.
That was lovely.
Thank you, Els.
Thank you, Paula. See you next time.
Okay.
Bye
Thanks.
bye.